Hi, it's Sandy Wyllie. I'm going to talk a little bit about borderline personality disorder, which is my mental illness. So many people think that it's taboo to talk about mental illness, but a lot of people walking around everyday life, psychologists, doctors, teachers, lawyers, a lot of these people have mental illness. They have depression, they're suicidal, they're schizophrenic, and they're bipolar. And many people don't know the wounds that they're carrying inside. They can only see the outside of someone. They can only see the pretty smile, the lovely figure, the degrees on the wall. They don't really know what's, brewing internally in someone's infrastructure, internally. So I'm coming on to tell you about my life as a borderline. I'm sure there's many books out there that you can read, you can buy and purchase or get from the library that talk about borderlines. But you're going to hear it firsthand how I experienced it. And so usually they say it's hereditary mental illness, and there's the other half that say it's from your environment. You know those two schools that you read? Well, for me it's both. It's hereditary and environment. I grew up with a schizophrenic, paranoid father. Now that I wrote a whole book about that, Life with My Schizophrenic Father, about what it's like being schizophrenic. They're delusional. They hear voices inside of them. I mean, I can't comprehend that, and I can't tell you what that feels like because I've never experienced that. That must be horrendous to have voices saying things, hearing voices in your ears, and that's how my father described it. And he had names for these voices. One was Shadrach in the left ear and Dreadvrew in the right ear. I don't know how he named the voices. And that's horrible because they tell you things like, oh, that person is going to kill you, or that person is out to poison you, don't eat the food, and all these horrific things that, you can't shut them off like it's a TV set or a radio, right? That you can just turn the channel or switch the button off, not with a schizophrenic. But that I'm only speaking secondhand because I'm not personally schizophrenic, so I can't tell you personally how that feels. But I was talking about environment and hereditary. So yeah, a lot of people that have grown up with a parent that has a mental illness, and that's one of the worst out there, schizophrenia. Borderlines can, be a result of that. Also, the environment. People that were, severely abused, physically, mentally, sexually, that can result in borderline personality disorder. I was severely abused by my mother. I was beaten up. I was tormented. I was belittled. She used to call me horrific names that I can't say on YouTube, otherwise they would censor. They would probably just take this video down if I said them. So it was both, for me personally, it was hereditary and environment. Growing up in an environment that was extremely toxic, severely beaten, neglected, verbally and mentally abused by my mother, and my father going off in crazy rages, psychotic rages, delusional rages, telling me everyone's going to kill me and kill the family. I mean, for a little child, it was just horrific. So that's where I'm trying to get at now, that it's environmental for me and hereditary. It's both. But anyway, to get back on what it's like to be a borderline. Borderlines cannot regulate their emotions. For me, I'm just going to talk about, for me, what it was like. I cannot regulate, because other borderlines might come on and say, well, that's not true for me, or you're not, that's not the facts. So I should just say for me, I could not regulate. It's like a broken thermostat, okay? It's either like 100 degrees boiling or 0 degrees, freezing. There's no in between, right? There's not that, for me, it's not that gray area. So like where someone could brush something off, like if someone said something to you, you might get a little annoyed. Like if someone said, oh, you're stupid. You might say, no, I'm not. You're stupid, right? And then, like, that's it. Oh, what an idiot that person is, or how mean, how cruel, right? And then you go on with your day. Now, for me, if someone said something, right, that would brew and fester in me like for hours, maybe the whole day, maybe for days, I'd be like raging angry. I'd want to like throw a rock through a window. I'd want to like strangle that person. I would like, if it was a job, I'd probably walk off the job, right? And say, I can't work around these people. They're toxic. They're cruel. Another person would just blow it off like, that person's an idiot. They don't know what they're talking about, or, But me, I cannot regulate my feelings. So everything I feel is so intense. That's why we make great lovers. We do. Why? I shouldn't say we. Because it's passion, okay? Passion. I feel things very passionately. I don't feel things lightly. I feel things intensely, very, very deeply. So when I'm angry, I'm not just a little bit angry. I'm enraged, like an inferno. When I'm feeling, smitten or, have a crush on someone, it's not just like a little crush. I'm thoroughly obsessed with that person. Like I want to get inside that person, okay? I want to get totally in them, in their mind, in their thoughts, in their fantasies, in their dreams. I want to get internally in the bowels of that person. That's how it is. So on one hand, it can be seen as very flattering, like how intense, how deep I am. But on the other hand, it's like a real turnoff, like, oh, I can't say anything to that person, her, because, she just will, take it the wrong way, or she'll be so upset and overreact. When they say, oh, get over it. Oh, you're overreacting, Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad. But it is that bad. That's what people don't understand. It is that bad. It feels that intense. It feels like a knife in your gut, When people say, oh, so what? Why are you taking that so seriously? Or the person was just being an idiot. Just forget it. But I can't forget it. I can't let it go. I just can't, because I can't regulate my feelings. It's like a little 2-year-old having a temper tantrum. They're not at the emotional level where they can regulate their feelings. So what do? They just have a temper tantrum. Well, it's kind of like me. I just have my temper tantrums because I can't regulate my feelings. See, I'm not a psychologist, but I've been in therapy like 20 plus years. And I think that what happens is I got stunted. When I was abused, I must have been abused around that age too. So I never grew beyond to emotionally, as far as regulating my feelings, because I was stunted. I was, abused at that age. It's kind of like, so I couldn't mature beyond that, because that's the age, that's the point where I got stunted. Kind of like a bonsai. I wrote a poem about that too. It's in one of my books. It's in the latest book, Love Bomb by a Harvard Psychologist, the poem, the Bonsai. Yeah, I got stunted because the bonsai, gets stunted because it's not in the light. The plant grows towards the light, and if you take the light away from the plant, it will no longer grow. It'll be stunted. So, yeah. I wanted to, like, there's a stigma on borderlines, and especially for psychologists. Yeah. Psychologists do not want to take on borderline patients. Absolutely not. They shy away from them. Once they learn you're borderline, that's it. They don't want nothing to do with you, because then they're scared. A lot of borderlines are suicidal. Fortunately, I'm not suicidal. I've never been suicidal. I never try to kill myself. I don't cut myself. I don't even understand. There are a lot of borderlines that do cut themselves and make themselves bleed. I've never done that. I don't even understand the concept of someone who does that. I'm not putting them down at all. I'm not shaming or putting anyone down for what they do. I'm just saying I never done it, and I don't understand why other borderlines, if you redo that and what they get from that. I can't speak from there, because that's not one of my symptoms, that I'm not suicidal, I'm not a cutter. But everything else, 100%, 100% for me. I'm all or nothing. I'm black or white. There's no gray area with me. I fly off the handle. I get enraged. I can't control my feelings. All that's so true. I've had problems on jobs. I've had problems with relationships that I couldn't hold because of my borderline personality disorder. I'd be so upset that I wouldn't want anything to do. And another thing is idolizing and demoralizing. Either you're my hero or you're the villain. That's another thing. That I'll either see you as all good or all bad. So when you do something bad, then that's it. You're out of my life. Bye. See you later, because I can't balance the good with the bad. I either worship you, adore you, right? And I'll just kiss your feet. Or, you're the worst thing, you're trash, you're dirt, you're no good. And then I cut you off completely. So it's that other thing, of either, glorifying or vilifying the person. There's like no in-between ground, no balance. And then that's when I often walk off jobs. If something goes wrong, I'll say, this is it. I've had enough. I'm not putting up with this shit. Or with like friends or anything like that, I will just, it's either, I love you or I hate you. There ain't no in between.